everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Erica with Memory Box Candle Co. and I make videos all about making and selling candles. And today's video is going to be all about me sharing with you guys what I am currently doing over the next couple of weeks before the year ends that is going to prepare, close out the year with my books, financially, getting ready for tax season. And I just wanted to share with you guys what I am currently doing. I am going to start with the most important thing that I wanted to share with you guys in today's video, and that is taking an inventory checklist at the end of the year. So if you are currently somebody, you don't have to be a candle seller or a wax melt seller. If you sell skincare, anything that's homemade where you have inventory, you want to make sure that you go through and you do an inventory checklist of the materials and the supplies that you have left over at the end of the year. This is something that I did not know that I needed to do prior to doing taxes for 2020. So when I met with my CPA earlier this year, she asked me for a final inventory amount. So essentially the dollar amount that was left over in inventory at the end of 2020. And I did not have that available. It had been months. And I essentially had to just scramble. I had to look on bank statements, what I purchased already in 2021, and then go through and see what I had, and then essentially look at the difference. And it just ended up being so much more than it needed to be if I had known. So that's why I wanted to start off with this point in today's video. So you guys can click off the video if you don't want to hear more. I will share more of what I'm doing. But the main thing that I wanted you guys to take away in today's video is that if you are a business that has inventory, make sure at the end of the year, so on December 31st, that you are taking an inventory checklist. You are doing an audit on all of your materials, all of your supplies that is left over, because your CPA is going to need that. So a CPA is a certified personal accountant, essentially just a tax person. They are going to need that for tax purposes. And trust me when I say it's going to be so much easier for you guys to just do your inventory right now while you can before the year ends. Make sure it's all up to date, so that way you know on January 1st where you are starting off, and it's going to make it so much easier for all of 2022 as well as for taxes. I personally recommend, if you guys do not already have an inventory software program, I really highly recommend Inventora. They have sponsored this channel before. I've been using them pretty much all of 2021. I love them. They have so many cool features on there, and I'm able to just go through, and there's actually a feature in the reports where you can actually see the total dollar amount of your materials as well as your actual physical products. So products that are finished on the shelf that you have for sale that is left over from that year, you're able to actually see the dollar amount, and that's what your CPA will need. Something else I'm doing before the year ends is to just make sure that my books are up to date. So I have Quickbooks, I have the online version. I used to have the self-employed version, but I have the online version that allows me to do a lot more, specifically with categorization, just to make sure that I have everything specifically categorized based on where the income is coming from and what category the expenses are going to. And I really like that feature because I'm able to go on and actually see specifics instead of just one lump sum of income and then one lump sum of expenses, which is what I had last year, and I had to kind of go through and figure it out. But this time I'm able to go on and make sure that I have every transaction categorized, make sure that I did everything right, just kind of looking over everything. I really want to look over my profit and loss statement, make sure that that is looking good, and also just take a moment to see my profit and loss statement, see what my actual gross income was, what my net income was, how much I spent in expenses throughout the year, which I know is probably a lot because I always spend a lot, you know, with business, you're spending a lot of money. But it'll be really interesting to take a look at all of that just to see and plan for next year on kind of maybe some budgeting, maybe business budgeting that I can look into, just to plan for next year, and also set a goal for an income for next year as well, or where I want to improve on certain things. I also really need to reconcile my bank account. So I know that's going to take a lot of time, but I really, really recommend it for you guys as well, because you want to make sure that you are up to date and there's nothing that is missed with the transactions when you give that information to your CPA to do your taxes. So reconciling your books, bank account, whatever it's called, is essentially just going through and you match the transactions. So you look at your bank statements and you look at your transactions on your bookkeeping software, and you just make sure that it is matching and that nothing is looking weird, and that you are going to essentially just match everything and you are not missing any transactions, so that you have accurate numbers and accurate books for the end of the year. I'm also just making sure that I have all of the snapshots of receipts that I have and have that added to certain transactions throughout the year. I do have some receipts that I still need to upload, so I need to make sure that I get those uploaded and onto my Quickbooks account. And then I also need to go through and just make sure that I have everything taken care of in terms of sales tax. So sales tax is something that any business owner that is collecting on behalf of the state, you will need to remit that sales tax. At least that's how it works in California. Pretty sure that's how it works in every state, but I'm personally in California, so I can only speak on California. But here in California, you do have to collect sales tax on behalf of the state and then remit it either quarterly or annually, I believe. I thought that I was quarterly, but when I last spoke with my CPA a couple of months ago, she did look and see that I was on an annual basis. And that's just determining, the state will determine what your remitting frequency will be. So you can talk to a CPA and they can look into that for you. She actually has all access to my online California state information online, so she can take a look at my account and do that all for me. I don't even try to do it myself anymore. I will gladly pay her to do that for me, because I tried doing that myself before and it took me 2 hours. It was awful. I had to call for help, and I'd rather just pay somebody to do that for me to make sure it is done correctly. But I do need to make sure that I have accurate information to bring to her, because she only knows as much as I am giving to her. So I have to look on Shopify, and there is a section on Shopify where I'm able to print out that information. I also have to account for the markets that I've done. So I have done 3 markets, so 3 vendor events this year, and I just need to go through and make sure that I am getting the correct calculation of sales tax, and that I am giving that information to her, and to kind of add that into the sales tax collected from Shopify to then pay at the end of the year. And I really hope that the state determines that I need to pay on a more frequent basis for the sales tax, because it's kind of, I don't know, it's not that big of a deal, but in my business bank account, I have my savings and I have a set number in there for sales tax to pay at the end of the year. And it's just kind of one of those things that I'd rather pay sooner than later. I like just paying things on time or a little bit before they need to be paid, just to make sure that they are paid. And with sales tax, with that, if they say you can only pay annually, you do have to wait and just pay all of that sales tax at once at the end of the year. So I really hope that they decide that I'm either quarterly or semi-annually, maybe even like every 6 months I pay it. I would like that a lot more than paying it annually. Something else that I really recommend for you guys to do if you have been in business this year, you've been making sales, and you know that you're going to want to hire a CPA to do your taxes for 2021, I really recommend for you guys to try to get with somebody as soon as possible. If you can meet with somebody, make an appointment, and ask them questions prior to the end of the year, I really, really recommend that, because you can ask them, when it comes time to us doing taxes, what information are you going to need from me? I actually had just made an appointment a couple months back. I think it was in October. I met with my CPA because I met with her a couple times throughout the year, because I had just additional questions. Just with being a corporation, there was just more questions I had. But I was able to already book an appointment with her. I have an appointment in the middle of January already to do my taxes, sales tax, all that kind of stuff. She told me what to bring. I have it in my notes section, so it's ready to go. And that way I know what to bring, and that it's not a surprise, because trust me, when I tell you that I was very surprised that I had to have an inventory value at the end of the year to give to her when I did my taxes for 2020, I was very surprised, and I was just kind of like, dang, I wish I would have known this earlier. So that's why I'm trying to help you guys out. For those of you that if this is your first year in business and you're trying to just get everything together as much as you can, if you're going to do anything, meet with a CPA. If you already have not met with a CPA, book an appointment as soon as you can to talk to them, and also just make sure that you have an inventory checklist at the end of the year. So what is that, in a couple of weeks, and like a week and a half? I don't know. We're so close to the end of the year. Just make sure that you do an inventory checklist on the 31st to make sure that you have a count and a value of everything. And the last thing I know is not going to be relevant to a lot of you guys, especially if you are not incorporated, if you're not a corporation with your business. But for me in particular, I want to make an appointment with my business attorney. I actually just called them this morning, and they're going to call me back next week to set something up for me to come in. And to be honest, I called in and I was just kind of like, I just want to make sure that everything's going okay. Like, I just want to make sure that my corporation is running good. If there's anything I need to do, there's some extra things that you have to do when you're incorporated, like an annual meeting. There's minutes. There's things that I'm not very familiar with, but I know that my business attorney is. So I'd rather just, meet with him and make sure that everything is taken care of on that end, going into 2021. And the receptionist knew exactly what I was talking about. She was essentially just like, so you're just trying to make sure you're dotting your I's and crossing your T's. And I'm like, that's exactly what I'm trying to do. I'm glad you understood that from what I was trying to get at. So these are the things that I am focusing on. A lot of online book work, a lot of just taking inventory, trying to get organized for the next year, making it a really, really good 2022. I'm really, really excited for the new year. I was very happy with how 2021 went with my business, with getting into finally local sales. I did some wholesale orders. I did a lot of things that I really was excited about, and I'm really, really looking forward to 2022. So I really hope this video helped you guys. If it did, make sure to leave it a thumbs up, as well as subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also, don't forget to follow me over on Instagram at MemoryBoxCandleCo, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.